Hi everybody, thank you for joining me again on my channel Naturally Wells. I thought I would take the opportunity to update you on my liver flushing journey. I've just done liver flush number 62 and I wanted to add some kind of tips and hacks. I've had a very long, complex relationship with liver flushing. It's taken a long time for me to feel like I have kind of got a momentum going with it. So I thought that I would share some of those hacks with you today. Sort of first order of business really is please don't expect high production values. I have zero editing skills and pretty much no interest in learning, so it's just me talking and showing you things and very low production values. So I'm going to try and keep this to less than 10 minutes and make it go through everything as speedily as possible without talking too fast. So this was flush number 62 and it was a success. I'd had a break of 4 months since my last flush. Basically my last flush was a dud. So when you have a dud flush, you go through the whole procedure, the prep, as has often been the case with me in the past, nothing happened. So I don't get anything coming out, no stones, nothing, which of course negates the often trumpeted myth that liver stones are nothing more than olive oil and citrus mixed together. Don't ask me how kind of biochemically that would even work, but that's often the sort of the myth that's kind of put out there about what these stones are made of. So I can definitely assure you that it is a myth, because I've done many flushes where I haven't had anything come out, and I've always felt awful afterwards, like return of all my awful symptoms. So I left it for 4 months after the last one. I just a bit of a background. Have been suffering from intermittent, quite bad perimenopausal symptoms, which women don't really talk about very often. But there's a myriad of different symptoms, but a lot of it for me was emotional, mental, feeling very stuck, very congested, not being emotionally available to my family, pretty kind of short-tempered, just feeling really highly strung, stressed out internally, having a few sleep issues, just feeling very fatigued, tired, crashing in the afternoon, that kind of thing, and quite depressed and anxious. So just fixating on things, obsessing about things, small things that aren't even worth, obsessing over, and just feeling this horrible kind of pit of anxiety all the time. Ever since I had my child, I've suffered with anxiety on and off, and I can tell you that the liver flush has been absolutely a lifesaver in this regard. So I think I waited so long because I was hoping that my premenopausal symptoms might just kind of abate. I've had fear in the past of doing another liver flush after a failed liver flush in case it makes everything worse, because what happens after a failed liver flush is that you get a push of the congestion, the cholesterol and the bile further down into the bile duct, but nothing comes out, and therefore your bile duct is more blocked, and symptoms of congestion, stuckness all get worse. So I was really frightened of doing another one, but it got to 4 months and I was just feeling so dreadful. I thought I didn't really have a choice. This is why it's kind of hard, really, I think, for some people to understand that you have to commit to doing liver flushing as kind of a long-term strategy. It's not a case that you can do a few and then forget about it, because your liver will start to push those stones from further back forward into the bile duct, and it will carry on like a slow avalanche, and you've just got to keep clearing. And often one of the questions that's asked on liver flushing forums is, well, and a suspicion about it as well, so why do you need to do so many? Andreas Moritz said in his book that he did 30, I think, around that, maybe did fewer than that, but that was kind of the you know, the average, and after that you'd be kind of clear. But many people are finding that that's just not true. With today's kind of modern dirty living, if you like, and the amount of medications that we take, junk food, estrogens in the environment, people having fatty liver, high cholesterol, eating a lot of sugar, trans fats, taking antibiotics. I mean, our livers are really under more strain than ever before. So for many of us, 30 flushes just doesn't even come close. So that's the reason I've done 62. I'm still a long way from finishing with this journey. The other reason is that, you know, it depends on how eager your liver is to sort of release the stones. Some people get these miraculous flushes where they release hundreds and hundreds of stones all at once, and that is amazing. That's kind of hitting the jackpot. But for people who've been chronically ill for many years, like myself, that just doesn't really happen. So you might get, you know, a couple of dozen in a flush. So therefore, given that the liver can hold thousands of stones, it's going to take a long time, and many flushes to clear that. It might take 50, it might take 100. I know people who've done 200, and I'm in it for the long haul, so I'm going to keep going. So don't be discouraged if you feel that after you've done a certain number you're not significantly better. Look for the small gains, the small wins. You will find that even if you've only done, you know, half of what I've done, you'll still be experiencing significant improvement of some of your symptoms. Okay, so a couple of things that I've learned, I guess, in the last year maybe. So I've been on the low vitamin A diet for a year. I think I probably need to do a separate post about that, but that has been the most significant contributing factor to help me have more success with these flushes. So I'm having fewer dud flushes, more successful flushes. I've done 6 flushes in the past year, I think, and 5 of those have been a success. That's just enormous, you know, increase in successful flushing for me. Prior to that time, I'd say I was having more unsuccessful flushes than successful ones, and it was just very hard and discouraging. So the thesis behind that is that vitamin A in excess causes cellular inflammation. Once liver stores are full of retinoic acid, then any additional retinoic acid spills over into the cells, causes cellular inflammation, and that can manifest itself in a variety of inflammatory symptoms. So go look it up if you're interested. Have a read of the work of Grant Jennerer, who came up with this hypothesis, and then Dr. Garrett Smith, who's kind of made great headway in researching this topic. I will put their names down below. So aside from that, my big tips are: make sure you're doing lots of prep. Do it, I'd say, for 10 days prior to your flush. So obviously Andreas Moritz says just do it for a week. I always do it for 2 weeks really before my flush. 2 things which I found very helpful: I make up I buy these dry herbs. So I don't know if it's going to come out backwards when I put this up on YouTube, but this is Chanca Piedra tea, loose herb tea, that comes from the Rio Amazon brand, and I put 2 or 3 tablespoons of that in a pan, and I also add a couple of tablespoons of rock rose, which again is a dry leaf tea, and I boil those up together and simmer those for about 5 or 10 minutes. Chanca Piedra is well known as a stone breaker, so that helps break up the stones, in addition to whatever other stone softening substance you're using. That might be malic acid or apple juice. And rock rose is known as a biofilm disruptor, so that means that it breaks down the hard shell surrounding yeasts and bacteria, and helps them to basically be more vulnerable to the liver flush. So I do take that for about 10 days prior to the flush. And the other thing I do during that time is, after every meal, particularly a meal with fat and protein in, I take a small capful of this lovely product, which is by Fieldsway. I'll put all this information down below. And this is probably only available in the UK. This is Fieldsway Constitution Bitters, a blend of 7 herbal bitters, including ash, aloes, aloe vera, and wormwood, which of course is an anti-parasitical as well. It's quite strong. It's really reasonably priced. You can get 3 bottles for about £15, so it lasts ages. And I take a small capful of that after every meal, and again that just helps bile flow, and it helps break up any sort of sediment or stones in anticipation of the flush. So that's what you want. You want the bile to work and soften all that congestion before you do the flush. Then another really important tip, I would say, if you're having difficulties making the flush work for you, is Andreas Moritz recommends olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. I can no longer stand the taste of extra virgin olive oil. It's just too aromatic, too rich. Even the mere smell of it makes me feel sick, so I can't use that anymore. So I use rice bran oil, which I really like because it's practically odorless and tasteless. So when I drink the concoction, I drink it really quickly through a straw. I just drink it so fast I could barely taste it. And I really like this one. Notice that this has a completely different color from olive oil. So again, you know, people saying, oh well, the flush contents that comes out after you do a flush is just softened olive oil because it's green. Well, you can achieve the same effects with pretty much any oil. And I use this brightly coloured orange one, and my stones are still green, so it isn't the olive oil producing those stones. And my last hack is, Andreas Moritz suggests that you do 120 mils of oil, so that's 2 of these capfuls. I add an extra 2 ounces or another 60 mils on top. So be warned, this is not for the faint-hearted, but I do 3 of these to the top of oil and mix those in with 3 capfuls of grapefruit juice. I find the extra oil just gets much better results. I don't get as good results if I just use the 4 ounces. And that's it. So good luck. Don't give up with your flushing journey. It is by far and away the most powerful protocol for detoxing your body and regaining health and freedom from chronic illness. Till next time. Bye.